Hello guys and welcome to United's Glory. Manchester United defeat Spurs 3-1 away from home, pretty much cementing second place. We've now got a 7-point lead over Leicester City, who are in third. I'm pretty sure we're getting Champions League football next year, even if you weren't sure before that game. Look, it would take a massive downfall to somehow lose second position. We also won, Man City didn't win. I'm not that hopeful, to be honest. I don't think we can turn around that lead. But, it has been done before. At least we're keeping it a little bit interesting. But ultimately, this followed a very good second half display from Manchester United. It should have been 4-1, shouldn't it? That was a goal. Cavani's first goal was a goal. I seriously worried about Son's health. The way he screamed and stayed down for at least 2 minutes. Honestly, it was just pathetic. Son should be taken to the hospital and checked for concussion because it's like Mike Tyson just dropped on the pitch and decked him. I honestly think rules need to be introduced in this game. If a player is down for 20, 30 seconds after taking a blow from the head, they should have to be subbed off because they've clearly had a major impact towards the head. Get them off the pitch. Of course, he goes and scores the first goal of the game a few minutes later and he's absolutely fine. He was play acting. The Spurs team tried it multiple times throughout this game. It's typical Mourinho. It wasn't accepted at Manchester United when Mourinho was at Manchester United because it's not part of the fabric of this club. But, we saw it in the first game where we lost 6-1 to Spurs, didn't we? Lamela got Martial sent off, acting like he'd been hit by a prime Muhammad Ali. Here we had Son being uppercutted by Mike Tyson. Just a joke. Son was play acting as far as I'm concerned. And even then, it wasn't a big enough touch to rule it out as a goal. It was a perfect goal. But Tottenham got the just desserts anyway because we came out in the second half and played them off the park. We actually played them off the park. I'm really impressed by that second half performance. But it is a problem of us, isn't really? Look, we start games too slow. We are too passive to begin the game. We're a responsive team. We need to be far more proactive rather than reactive. If we were proactive throughout the whole game, I think we'd be even closer to Man City. I don't know what the problem is. Ollie's got to figure it out. I do believe it does have foundations in the fact we play with two deep-lying midfielders. Those deep-lying midfielders played well today. They get a lot of stick, but McFred played quite well today. I was a bit worried that one of them would get sent off because they both got booked quite early. But in the second half, they dominated the midfield. And the game that a lot of people are criticising them for was that Leicester game a few weeks ago. Now, I've been super critical of them from that particular game and the way we performed in that game. But look what Leicester are doing now. At the end of the day, their midfield played well against us on that day, but they haven't been consistent throughout the whole season. People need to stop going over the top when it comes to our players. Sure, can we get better? Yes. Are they championship level? No. No, they're not. We would not be in second. We would not be competing like that against a Spurs team if they were championship level players. But ultimately, it was a good second half performance. If we could play like that throughout a whole 90 minutes, we'd be competing for a title as far as I'm concerned, even though we could still go out and improve certain positions. But yeah, first half, very passive. Scored a goal that should have counted. Second half, the game opened up a bit and, we started to get into the game. Some excellent individual performances. I'm going to go on to the player ratings now, actually. Dean Henderson coming in, and I'm an advocate of Henderson starting at the moment. I don't have that much against De Gea, but he just makes too many mistakes for me. I keep harking back to the Ferguson era. Goalkeeper makes a mistake at Manchester United. You get dropped. That was what happened. I remember Tim Howard made one mistake pretty much all season against Porto in the Champions League. We didn't see him hardly ever play again. Mark Bosnich made a mistake out. Massimo Taibi, remember that? De Gea makes a lot of mistakes, and I know Henderson did make a mistake in the Europa League a few weeks ago, but he's reacted well, and De Gea makes quite a lot of mistakes. He's a great shot stopper, but for me, what Henderson has over De Gea is command of his area, communication, and he gets off his line quick. It's like having a sweeper keeper. De Gea is not very quick off his line. Sure, De Gea is a better shot stopper. I wouldn't say Henderson's a bad shot stopper, but De Gea has that, that unearthly ability at shot stopping. But for me, Henderson made some good saves today. He knows when to time waste. He's not afraid to go long if he has to. And like I said, he's off the line well. It allows Maguire and Lindelof to play a bit further up the pitch, and that's a big problem that Manchester United have is that we have to play them so deep because of their lack of pace. But when you have that lack of pace and a goalkeeper who's not quick off his line, like De Gea, you really do have to play deep. Henderson's quicker off his line than De Gea, from what I've seen so far. Henderson's still got a lot to prove though, but a good performance today, 8 out of 10. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, quite a quiet first half, but ultimately in the second half he was very good. He was overlapping a lot. Of course, he still needs to work on that final ball, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka is another player that gets too much stick for me. He's in his second year at Manchester United. He has had a lot of good performances at Manchester United. His tackling one-on-one is superb. Does he need to improve? Yes. Does that mean he can't improve? No. All I say is look at Luke Shaw's first few years at Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka's first few years at Man United have been better than Luke Shaw's as far as I'm concerned. But look how good Luke Shaw is now. Look, sometimes you do have to be a bit patient with these players. I will say this, and I'll say it again. Aaron Wan-Bissaka should be judged when we get a permanent right forward to play above him so he can build a partnership. Neville alluded to it today in the Sky Sports match. The Beckham and Neville relationship. Ronaldo often used to play with Wes Brown regularly behind him. The partnership was there to be developed. Wes Brown wasn't great at overlapping and crossing. He had a good cross, but Wan-Bissaka's got time, and that's what I'm saying. And give him a partnership. I think we'll see Wan-Bissaka get better. I would still do what we've done with Luke Shaw, though, and bring in somebody like a Telles to compete with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think Trippier is a good choice for that, to be honest. I still think he's a good choice. Because he has natural attacking flair. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, to keep him out of the team, will have to improve. It's good competition to have. But Wan-Bissaka, a very good second half today. He was really penetrating the area on that right-hand side with his runs. I thought he was good in the second half. An 8. On to Luke Shaw. He's become very consistent, hasn't he? Look, I do think people go a bit over the top with Luke Shaw, comparing him to the likes of Roberto Carlos or even Patrice Evra. He is not at that level. He is not at that level yet. He's had a good year, but he is not at that level yet. But he has become consistent. I said last year, my main complaint about him and why I didn't think he necessarily needed to be replaced straight away, but he was somebody who would have been needed to replace down the line, was he gives you 7 out of 10s. For Manchester United, that's not good enough. But this year, he's given us 8 out of 10s at least, with the odd 9. If I hark back to an Evra or an Irwin for Manchester United, they were 9 out of 10s consistently. Can Luke Shaw get to that next level? I think he's getting there, and he definitely has earned the right to get that. He has a very good left back behind him in Telles. Telles is crossing brilliant. Luke Shaw needs to match his crossing as far as I'm concerned, but a consistent performance by Shaw today. 7 out of 10, not a special performance, but a consistent performance. Maguire, Harry Kane had a quiet game, a pretty quiet game. Of course, he was part of the goal for Tottenham, but that was when he dropped off into midfield and kind of let a pass. Lindelof probably should have got it, but Harry Maguire otherwise had Harry McCain. Why do I keep saying Harry McCain? Harry Kane in his pocket. I don't even know who Harry McCain is. He had Harry Kane in his pocket. Quiet game, so he did his job, and Maguire's good on the ball. I thought it was good defensive display from us today. 7 out of 10. Lindelof, with the pass from Harry Kane that went into Lucas Moura, which ultimately set up Son. Obviously, he should have got it. I do think he was wrong-footed a little bit, and that probably stops him from getting it. But because of the way it played out, it looked like he should have reached it. I think it's too harsh to blame him entirely for the goal. It was just a well-worked goal. I don't know why people seem to think that we're going to keep clean sheets against everybody. If we let in a goal, it must mean our defence is crap. It was just a good goal. The only thing you could say was the team seemed to be distracted by the fact our goal had just been disallowed. Maybe that played into it. But, I don't think he was super to blame. But Lindelof's passing's good. A few stray passes today, though, by Lindelof. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Pastor Fred. Another player I think gets too much stick. And when I say this with the caveat of just because I'm saying he gets too much stick and more stick than he deserves doesn't mean we can't get a better player. He isn't the best midfielder in the world, for example. But, people go overboard saying he doesn't deserve to be a Manchester United player. He can't. I mean, we are second. as much as we want to be first, second isn't terrible, especially for the point in time this Manchester United team is at. It is not at the top of its game yet. So to expect it to be top of the league is just a bit ridiculous. But Fred is a good player. He's got a goal today, which is unusual, but Fred actually has that in his game. He doesn't have a very good range of passing, and that's why he gets a lot of criticism. But the rest of his game's pretty good. He needs to stop shooting from distance. I mean, by all means, if he can work his way into the box like today, then sure, shoot. But he needs to stop shooting at the edge of the box. But his interplay is actually really good. His short passing interplay is very Brazilian-like. Some people say he isn't a very Brazilian player. Brazilian players aren't all known for having a very wide range of passing. They're very good at interplay and 1-2s and movement. Fred is good at that. He's tenacious. But ultimately, what Manchester United need, and this is the problem with McFred, is neither player can seem to play at the base of that midfield alone, because we need Pogba and Bruno further up the pitch, and they are both better players than McFred. But McFred do give the team balance, which is why they both have to play. But we need a defensive midfielder. It could be Declan Rice, it could be another player, or I mean, I've always said at least give one of these players a go at the base of the midfield with a consistent run of games to see how they do. But we need a player who can play in that base of the midfield on his own, and I'm not sure these players are it. And that's Fred's problem, is that you do need a range of passing if you're going to play out there on its own. And obviously Fred doesn't have the physical side to his game other than his tenaciousness. So he might not be the answer. I would have liked to see him get a run of games as the answer, because I remember Sevilla last year, we played very well against him. I mean, he played at the base of that midfield with Pogba and Bruno, and we looked extremely good. I know we lost, but we lost because we didn't take our chances. But I think Fred just gets too much stick, far too much stick. He is a good player, but yes, we do need that defensive midfielder to take his place. On to McTominay. Oh, sorry, Fred, 8 out of 10. On to McTominay. I would say he had a very good game. He was unlucky to be penalised for the first goal. You know, he would have played a very important role in that goal and had a major impact on the game. But ultimately, you know, he kept going. He is a Duracell bunny, isn't he? He keeps going. You do need these supplementary players in your team to, you know, give balance. Of course, he's not a flair player. He's not someone who's going to wow people. Very much like a Jesse Lingard, you know. He doesn't have that wow factor when he plays for Manchester United because he has more talented players around him. But, you know, they do offer that supplementary role that allows these other players to do what they need to do. Once again, just like Fred, the problem is we need a player that can play there on his own and control that midfield area on his own and get the ball forward quickly to the likes of Bruno and Pogba, so we can have more players in the opposition final third. But, you know, he had a good game today. He got booked, and like I said, I was a bit worried he'd get himself sent off with a bad tackle, but he didn't. But, you know, a 7 out of 10 for McTominay today. Bruno, it was quite uninfluential, to be honest. You know, he had a good long shot from range. He was involved in certain areas of the game, but, you know, he didn't do anything particularly great. Not a lot to say, really. He weren't bad by any means, but, you know, it wasn't the game where he took the game by the scruff of the neck. So a 6 out of 10. Paul Pogba, when I saw him playing in the forward line, I weren't particularly happy, especially when we took Rashford from the left and put him on his right, because as far as I'm concerned, Rashford's form has been good enough to make sure he's always playing in that position, because he is a weapon and he does score goals. But we shoehorned Pogba in today, and Pogba was brilliant. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of a consistent performance throughout the whole game, he was our best player today. He just didn't get the match-winning moments that my man of the match will get. But Pogba was good in the first half. Not many other players were good in the first half, and he was good in the second half. You know, his play to work for that third goal for Mason Greenwood pretty much made the goal. Paul Pogba, 9 out of 10 for me. I'd really like to see us hold on to him. Look, if he wants to leave, by all means, let him go. You can't hold a player against his will. And, you know, he is replaceable. But I don't know. I just still think there's something we can get out of him. If we can get him and Bruno playing in that midfield together with a good DM behind them, I just think, you know, we'll have a midfield that's as good as any other midfield in the world. But, you know, a very good performance today in a position that he doesn't usually play in. Obviously, that gives us the option to play him there. But, yeah, I mean, he's doing bits at the moment. A 9 out of 10 for Paul Pogba. Marcus Rashford, I mean, a quiet game from today. I don't blame him because he was shoehorned out onto the right-hand side. He does not look comfortable on that right-hand side. But, he does make bad choices. He did get through on goal where he could have just unleashed a shot with his left foot. But, he kind of dawdled on it and ended up getting the ball taken off him. But, once again, like Bruno, not a bad game. He just wasn't as influential as he usually is. He's quite influential on that left-hand side. But, today, not as influential. Rashford, 6 out of 10. Cavani, what a game, and ultimately my man of the match, mainly because he had the match-winning moments, the highlight moments. Obviously, he scored, and he actually stopped Tottenham from scoring a goal close to the end with a header that hit our own post. But if he didn't do it, their player would have scored. But his movement as a striker is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and it's even more noticeable when you've been watching Martial for a long time. Now, I'm not a Martial hater. I still think Martial has a lot to offer, and he at least deserves another year to, show us that he can do it. But Cavani off the ball is fantastic. He's got that first run. If the first run doesn't pull off for him, he's still making that second run and the third run, and that's what Martial doesn't do, and that's why he doesn't get as many chances. Like, I don't buy into this fact that our midfield don't create chances for these strikers. I think they do. I think there's a lack of movement and a lack of coaching in the team. But Cavani just has these abilities naturally. His movement is absolutely brilliant. He scored 2 very good goals off the back of good movement. He was involved in Fred's goal as well, which was off the back of his great movement. Just a really good performance from Edinson Cavani. I know he wants to go back to Uruguay, and if he wants to go, then sure, let him go. But I'd like to see him stay here for another year. And if he does leave, I think we should also replace him with an experienced striker, because I think Mason Greenwood has the ability to become our main striker, but I think it's going to need another year or two. So if Cavani stays, great. If he doesn't, then farewell. You've been the first player since Ronaldo left to, wear that number 7 shirt and do it some justice. But a 9 out of 10 for Cavani today. Man of the match performance for me. Won us the game. On to the substitutions. Mason Greenwood, he came on. He was more influential than Marcus Rashford. Of course, he scored a goal. And this kid's just got it, hasn't he? He's a great cross for Cavani as well. I forgot he got an assist and a goal. Just a very good performance from Mason Greenwood. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 because he wasn't on the pitch long enough to get a 9, but just a great performance. And people keep talking about we should be going after Haaland or Harry Kane. We've got a striker that if we get these players, is going to stop Mason Greenwood getting to that level. We need to give Mason Greenwood that chance. And I still won't write Martial out yet, but, Martial doesn't seem to have the natural abilities that when his A plan's going well enough for his B game to, make the most of the game that isn't going well for him, if you get what I'm saying. So I think Mason Greenwood has more of that about him. But, I might make a video about that the other day, our striking options. But yeah, a great cross by Greenwood for Cavani's goal and a great goal, a great finish. Hugo Lloris probably should have saved it, but it was a powerful shot. So an 8 out of 10. Who else came on? I can't really remember, but I don't think that was on the pitch long enough. Oh, Matic, I don't think he was. He kind of just helps us show up the game. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he motivated the players at half time. And in the second half, we completely played Tottenham off the park. It could have been 4-1 if that goal would have counted. Ole Solskjaer got it all right today. So he schooled Mourinho. I'm harsh on Solskjaer when he gets schooled himself, like against Leicester, he got schooled against Brendan Rodgers. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does have these games where, his style of play does do well against the opposition. Obviously, we just need to find a way to break down teams who play with a low block and are looking to attack us. I think that does require us getting two of the midfield players in a midfield 3 to be attacking midfielders rather than 2 defensive midfielders. And I think that will shift a lot of the burden into attacking the opposition rather than defending and catching them on the counter-attack. But, I think that's now for next season. I don't think that's something we're going to turn around late this season. We just need to make sure we get that second spot. Hopefully close the gap on Man City enough to say, look, they're catchable and obviously win the Europa League and get that first trophy in the bag. That's really important as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, you got to be happy with that performance. So that's all for this today. On to Europa League. We should be getting past Granada. 2-0 up. Coming back to Old Trafford. So yeah, I'm confident. if Man City lose to Villa next week and we win, and then win our other game in hand, we'll only be 6 points behind with five or 6 games to go. It's nothing's beyond us. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.